We've always had room in our hearts for film and TV, not just on Netflix, but tape and disc and theaters. Also, God forbid that they take it all away and leave us nothing to broadcast to loyal listeners. We'll binge watch every single movie, so you don't have to. What else are we here for? Coming to you every week. Listen to us while you're busy. Luckily, we forgot to grow up. Hey everybody, it's Craig.
Hey, it's Scott.
Hey, it's Andrew.
Welcome to episode number 25 of the Forgot to Grow Up podcast, the episode in which we talk about everything that everybody else has already talked about. And by that, I mean we're going to talk about Easter eggs in movies and references. Easter eggs is a silly way of saying it. I'm not a huge fan, but...
And with any luck, maybe we'll drop some new Easter eggs.
We'll put Easter eggs in our episode. It's up to you to find them.
Yeah, find them.
In preparation for Easter, which, depending on when this episode comes out, is like soon.
I didn't even think of that beforehand when we were planning this episode. I'm like, oh yeah, Easter eggs.
That's why I pitched the Easter eggs one.
I don't know why.
You think I just come up with shit like that?
I don't know.
One of
why
us is a step ahead.
I just missed it.
Scott and I just made the connection. Yep.
This is a journey of self-discovery.
I don't know why I didn't think of it too, because it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, that's why I pitched Easter eggs.
If my math is correct, then that means this episode's going to come out on Easter.
Easter, yes.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday. Yeah.
Would you look at that?
It
feels like so long away.
Yeah, it's that's great. Anyways, Easter eggs.
All right. I'm done with what I was saying about that. And then we're going to finish it all off with a segment we like to call WWWTW, also known as What We Watched This Week, because you guys didn't like my other segment idea name.
Fuck no.
Too long, too much.
Rolled off the tongue. Come on. It's catchy.
Our name right now barely rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It rolls off the tongue if you want to laugh at yourself for a little bit.
The fact that I have to do this to make sure I'm saying it properly, that's not rolling off the tongue.
The fact that every time I write it down to do our show notes, I just put what I watched this week. Seems like that's easier.
WIWTW.
No, I just leave it at what I watch.
Okay, there you go.
Woo.
I'm a diehard to the name, so I put it down every time.
We know and we approve.
Scott, do you want to start?
Yes, I'll start our
if we
Easter
keep going, we'll have the longest intro
reference.
we've ever done.
Yeah, it'll just drag on forever. Yeah, so our favorite Easter eggs and references in movies. I tried not to focus too much on all the superhero ones because there are so much. I have a couple, but actually I only have one I think written for superheroes. Well, two technically.
That surprises me a lot.
Well, I also only have one, so...
Well, superhero ones are, like, that's the thing, like, Andrew mentioned this last week. I'm not sure if it was on the pod or if it was when we were having our discussion afterwards, but the one big thing about superhero movies is the looking for the Easter eggs from the comics, right? Like, it's a little bit more obvious. They're, like, I watch a video every week on different Easter eggs in different movies, so it's, especially superhero movies in particular, so it's, for me, I just felt it's been done so many times, so I tried to focus on other types of movies. I still do have a couple superheroes, but the first one I have is Star Wars, obviously. And the reference in Star Wars that I really enjoy was when they put in E.T. During the Phantom Menace. Just a little, like, they don't even put focus on it. It's just you see a couple of the E.T. Alien creature, whatever, I don't know what they're called, but you see two of them in the Senate.
The ETs.
Yeah, the ETs.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That's the best way. The ETs, you see two of the ETs in the Senate, and I just really like that reference. I'm not a big ET person, but I just like the fact that George Lucas gave a little nod to his, his producer friend or co-director friend. I don't know what Steven Spielberg is to
his best
him.
buddy.
They're very tight. I know they're very tight because they did Indy together.
Indiana Jones together, yeah. So,
yeah, I don't remember what Steven Spielberg. He's a producer, right? Or is he a director? I never remember the difference between a producer and director. So, okay, see, and that's why I was confused.
I'm pretty sure producers just give money. I'm pretty sure.
I think that's
like,
exactly
here's money.
Producers
Here's money.
Can have creative
make
direction too, though.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm always confused about it. But anyways, my point is, I really just like that they gave a little nod to each other in that sense, which connects into I think Craig's only Easter egg that he wrote down.
Well, George Lucas puts his references in to his own stuff in his movies all the time.
Yes.
There are references to his earlier stuff in Star Wars.
And fucking Howard the Duck. Ugh.
I always forget that he did Howard the Duck.
Oh, you can't forget Howard the Duck.
I've only seen Howard the Duck once, and I was a young child.
That's more than enough.
Yeah, even then I was just like, this is weird.
Well, the girl in that's from Back to the Future, so, and she's a babe, so I can stand by that.
Yeah.
Except for the super awkward, like, near sex scene. I didn't need that.
Yeah,
but...
no, even as a child, I was like, this is weird. He's a duck. I never got that in any cartoons. I never got that.
Why is the principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off playing a detective? Why is this happening?
And he gets so, like, whatever happens to him throughout that movie, like, there's some kind of effect that's going on to him, right? He looks messed up. I remember being slightly scared of him. That's all
I'm pretty sure he's infected by the whatever the hell it is, the villain, isn't it?
That sounds about accurate.
Isn't that what happens?
It does sound like I do vaguely remember being infected with something, and that was what was really creepy looking about him. But
I got on DVD, so I'll have to bust it out.
We devolved to Howard the Duck.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was trying to bring it back. I was just about to. On to my next reference that I like was this is another Star Wars one actually, and it was the fact that Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper in The Force Awakens, but he was the stormtrooper actually that lets Rey go, which I only kind of recently learned. I didn't actually know that he was that particular stormtrooper, so he's the one that gets mind tricked. So I just learned that, so I thought that was pretty cool. The fact that I really like that there's a bunch of different celebrities who have been in the new few Star Wars installments.
Apparently, all you have to do is show up and say, "Hey, can I be in your movie?" And they say, "Okay."
I think so. Yeah, you just have to be a pretty big fan and be like, "Oh, can I put on a?" Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna try it too. Just tweet at J.J. Abrams, be like, "Yo, can I be a stormtrooper? I want to be a stormtrooper." Like,
can I be a stormtrooper that looks like Peter and Chris in this Family Guy?
I want to see that. There needs to be more diversity in the
more big, heavy set stormtroopers who just work behind a desk, or like they're mailmen or something for the Empire, something ridiculous.
Or like some kind of like blacksmith, or like a I don't know if they'd have blacksmiths in the future, but it's like the future equivalent.
Well,
of
it is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
That's true. So maybe there are blacksmiths. I don't know.
Maybe. I want to see them just without the helmet, or like, without the suits, just the helmets, like they do in the Family Guy too, where they do everything wearing the helmets, like it's their head.
The helmet's part of their head.
Take the uniform off, and he's got like a full sleeve, and like he walks around like a man thong or something like that. Just something you wouldn't expect to see under a highly precise military character.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyways, Easter eggs.
Next one, I do have another Star Wars one. I actually got a few more Star Wars one. So I guess I focus more on Star Wars than superheroes, apparently.
Hit us with the Star Wars.
So the next one I have it's kind of an Easter egg, kind of like a reoccurring kind of reference, but I like that all the Star Wars movies have somebody who says, "I've got a bad feeling about this."
And every time they say that,
something
bad happens.
And I just really like that because I remember when I was younger that I picked up on that, and I just remember it being like, "Oh, I like that. You said that in the last one. Oh, you said it in the last. I see what you guys did," and I really enjoyed that. So that's why I had to include that in our list. The next Star Wars one I have is a little bit more recent. It was Vader's Castle in Rogue One. Vader's Castle is from the expanded universe, and so in Rogue One, when we first see Darth Vader, where he is that on Mustafar, you see his like castle place, his temple, whatever you want to call it. And I thought that thing was really cool, and the fact that they took it from the expanded universe, just a really cool reference. So I enjoyed that, and the fact that at the end he chops up a bunch of people. That's not really a reference. That's just Vader being Vader. That's my favorite thing ever. Like it's still one of my favorite scenes in all Star Wars now, just because I would have liked that to have been in the original trilogy. That would have made me feel so much better. Or at the end of like Revenge of the Sith. That would have been cool to see him like chop down a bunch of somebodies. After he's like, no.
After
he like starts
just
chopping,
mow down his own people.
Just mows down people just to get some rage out. Like I would have loved to see that. And then the like Emperor has to like stop him, and then that's why like Vader ends up.
I feel like the Emperor would just watch.
Well, he'd watch at first, but then Vader would get to a point where he'd have to stop him, and then he'd just like pick him up and be like, "That's enough," kind of thing, and then.
Come on, Faja, stop it!
Exactly.
Stop it!
So, I thought that would be cool, but that's not a reference. I think that's my last Star Wars reference, though. Not true. I have Yoda in. Yeah.
Psych!
Like my list is out of order like that. But my last one's just that was Vader, or not Vader, Yoda showing up in The Last Jedi as a Force ghost. I just really like that. That was just cool. But yeah, that's the last of my Star Wars ones, I swear, I think.
Okay.
Okay. The next one I had was from I Am Legend with Will Smith. Can you guys guess what it is?
Nope.
No? I didn't think Craig would.
Can you give me like a reference to something, like a hint?
We talk about this character and this now made movie a lot.
Is it Schwarzenegger?
No.
Is it Ted Danson?
It's Batman.
Oh, it's Batman.
Yeah, so in I Am Legend...
I should have got that.
Yeah. Well, in your defense, we do talk about a lot of things very often.
Yes. Mainly Schwarzenegger and Ted Danson.
Yeah, and then Batman v Superman is literally right after that. So,
yep.
But in I Am Legend, you see a billboard that has a poster for Batman v Superman, or a Batman Superman movie of some kind. You don't really get a real focus on, but you can see just the overlapping logos of Batman and Superman. And this was in whenever I Am Legend came out, early 2000s, mid 2000s. But yeah, I just really like that little reference because this was long before we were ever going to get like a Batman v Superman, before it was actually in the works. It was still like a pipe dream back then. So it was just a really cool little tiny reference, like a really small Easter egg. And like I said, this was also not a comic book movie. It's based off a book, but it's not a comic book movie. So the fact that it has a little Easter egg like that to a comic book is kind of cool. But yeah, that one was cool. Next one I have was from Hercules, the Disney animated movie. And it's just, you see at one point, you see Scar from The Lion King. You see him as a throw rug of some kind, or a cape of some kind in that. And I thought that was really cool. Cause I remember as a kid being like, hey, isn't that the bad guy from Lion King when I first saw Hercules?
Jeremy Irons?
This is before I knew any actors' names, so I definitely didn't get that. But yes, now I would say that. Yes, no, I wouldn't. Still, I forget that all the time. But yeah, I just like that reference. I like that Disney has always been doing little things like that. Like they have like you could do a whole episode on just the different Pixar and Disney Easter eggs in each other, but I like that one in particular just because it's just so simple, and it's almost needless, but it's kind of cool at the same time because it's like, oh, well, it looks like, Scar got his just desserts. Hercules cut him up. Like, it's kind of interesting like that. I thought it was funny. But yeah, now I've just got comic book ones left. Yep. So I do have a couple comic book ones.
Hit us.
The first one I have is just the Watchers in the Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That little 2 seconds you see them. You see Stan Lee.
When they're talking with Stan Lee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the reason I just really liked that one in particular was because it kind of justifies a fan theory I don't know what the word is. It makes this fan theory kind of true, which was that everyone's always kind of thought that Stan Lee was kind of the Watcher in the MCU, and that's why he pops up in all the different MCU movies as different people. But this movie kind of took that and it was like, yeah, you're kind of right, fans, in that he's not a Watcher, but he's just an informant of the Watchers, and they just kind of send him around to watch on these different events. And I just really like that they kind of just inserted that, and the fact that they got the Watchers because of part of the deal they made with Fox for what was it? It was back for like Negasonic Teenager or something like that, or it was like a year or so ago when they traded a couple things back and forth because Fox wanted the rights to do the TV shows, to make different X-Men TV shows, so like Legion and Gifted and yada yada. So yeah, part of that deal was them getting the rights to use the Watchers in the MCU. So I just it's a whole couple little things to it.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing, but I thought it was pretty cool. But me and you actually even talked about something similar to this, the fact that they haven't really exchanged any money yet, and that was part of that deal. I was thinking, I'm like, maybe there was some money involved in there, but I think that was being them.
Oh yeah, when we were talking earlier about the
Silver Surfer,
all the little how they keep dropping little hints at new names getting added to the script and the character list, like fucking Peter Dinklage getting added this week, coming out that he's in it.
Well, no, it's been out. I knew for a while that he was in it, but
I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah.
And then earlier this week they dropped, or nothing's confirmed, but they dropped
there's a rumor.
There's a rumor that some actor who not a whole hell of a lot of people know, who's more known for directing stuff, playing the Silver Surfer. Which I don't even know how they would tie that in unless it was a post-credit scene. So
yeah, it's hard to say. Like when you sent me this, I was like, that sounds very clickbaity, and I was hesitant to the idea because I was like, well, they haven't made a deal, but it's possible it was part of the deal then when they got the Watchers. So I forgot about that till we brought it up till I just brought it up now, I should say. But yeah, so the other comic book references I have was the little Miles Morales Easter egg in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
Where, what's his name? Daniel Glover. Wow, I can't believe all I could think of was Childish Gambino, and I'm like, no, he has a name. He doesn't go by that anymore. But yeah, Daniel Glover, or Donald Glover, is it?
Donald.
Daniel. Did I say Daniel the first 3 times?
Yeah.
See, and I still got it wrong. Me and names.
You're thinking Danny Glover.
I'm always thinking of Lethal Weapon. That's him, right? Or is that a different one?
No,
too
Donald
many Glovers
Glover. It's Donald Glover.
Okay, Childish
Troy.
Gambino, when he makes a little reference to his the fact that his cousin or his nephew lives in the area, and that's a little reference in the comic books to Miles Morales, who takes over the Spider-Man mantle. And I just like the idea that maybe the MCU might eventually, or the Sony might eventually make a Miles Morales movie besides the animated one coming up. Because I'd like to know more about that character, because I know literally nothing about him except for his name and that he takes over for Spider-Man at one point.
He's got a pretty badass name, though.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And his costume is cool, too, from what I've seen about it, because I think it's like a black and a red color.
Black. Yeah, it's black, and then has the red webs.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. I like that. So. So that was a cool little Easter egg. And the next one I have is just the fake Infinity Gauntlet in Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, when they reference it and they just throw it to the side?
Yeah, when Hela is walking past. Yeah, because they screwed up a little bit by putting it in.
Well, they show it at the beginning. Was it the first Thor?
In the first Thor, they show it in in his weapons vault. And I've always heard that that the theory on that was that they just kind of threw all those out just to see kind of what people stuck to and what people kind of clung to. I don't 100% believe that theory as much as that maybe they just
change their mind.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think they kind of
like the Adam Warlock thing at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Exactly.
Where they show his cocoon in the background, and then they're like, fuck, we kind of want to use him, so we'll just bring out this new Adam Warlock cocoon. Yeah.
In their defense, the collector one could just be any old cocoon.
Yeah.
So, so that's a cool reference. I only had one more reference on my list, and this one's a Power Rangers reference, which I only learned about when I was looking this up. So the new Power Rangers movie.
Is this Billy Cranston, or not Billy Cranston? Is this fucking what's his name, Cranston, and how he played a villain? Brian, that's the guy.
No, but that's a good one.
Well,
yeah.
Billy Cranston is the name of the Blue Ranger, and they jacked it Cranston, and then they use him in other things.
Yeah, they do. I think there's a monster named after him as well, or a villain of some kind named after him.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Is it that they used the original Power Rangers in the movie that came out last year?
Yeah, they just have a little cameo. Yeah.
You got Kimberly and
yeah, because I remember that scene and thinking it was them, but I didn't know for sure because they're a lot older.
And he doesn't have a ponytail anymore.
Exactly. And I'm like, are you even him if you don't have your ponytail anymore? But
well, he was in another season of Power Rangers after that when he's an old dude with the short spiky hair.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, man, he was in Dino Thunder.
The only reason I might have a child one day is so I could rewatch all the Power Rangers and not feel like a loser.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
And that's the only way I can actually get through
Forgot to Grow Up podcast, Scott.
Pardon?
I said you're never a loser on the Forgot to Grow Up podcast, Scott.
That's fair. Thank you, Craig. That's really appreciated. But that's all my references that I had. except for the one that Craig's gonna say, but I left that for Craig for once.
That was very nice of you.
Yeah, so Craig, why don't you
guess
tell us what that one
You
is?
want me to do that? All
Yeah,
right.
you might as well.
And then I'm going to pick up on one you missed, but
Fair enough.
kind of danced around. So the only ones that came to mind when I thought about doing this was all of the many Star Wars references in Indiana Jones.
Yes.
And I'm not going to list all of them because I think we're aware of most of them. And I'm going to leave one of them for Andrew because we feel like giving here on Easter.
Thanks,
Even
man.
though it's not Easter.
Wait, I'm confused. What are you going to leave for me?
I'm going to leave one of the Indiana Jones references for you
Okay.
so that you can pronounce the word that Scott doesn't want to say.
Okay, sounds good.
Which is why I so graciously gave this one up.
Exactly. I think one of the coolest, well, besides there's the obvious where Harrison Ford reuses lines and
Yeah.
reuses actions that were done in Star Wars, between saying "we got company" to like the scene where he runs screaming down the hallway at the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing in Indiana Jones. But I think the coolest is the reuse of sound effects. So
Okay.
they used Millennium Falcon's hyperdrive when it fails. They use that for airplanes
Oh, cool.
in the Indiana Jones movies, and
I didn't know that.
No, me neither. And in the Temple of Doom, they used a lightsaber sound during the sacrifices. Yeah,
Right on. That's awesome. I
That's-
didn't know those ones.
those are pretty much the.
Okay, well,
the
you
more
missed the
important ones.
one that I had written down, which was the Club Obi-Wan.
Yes.
So that's the
yes.
club in Temple of Doom at the beginning, I believe, that he finds the lady of that movie in. I can't remember exactly what the plot is, but these are all actually coming to Netflix in
The movies?
Yeah, in April. So I'm gonna watch them all next month.
Yeah, I just watched them. My dad has all the DVDs not that long ago.
Nice.
So that was. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just gonna say
Yeah.
I've been meaning to buy the DVDs, but they're coming to Netflix, so I don't have to now.
Yeah, just yeah. The original trilogy are awesome.
Yeah, and then there's that other one.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not.
No.
Man, if it didn't have Shia LaBeouf in it, I
It might
think
be
it would be a
okay.
better movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
less
it's hard just to
CGI.
look at Shia LaBeouf and see someone like back in like the 50s. Like it's hard to look at that.
Yeah, imagine
Well-
I just always felt like he was acting in that movie. I'm just like, no, you're Shia LaBeouf pretending to be his. No, just I never felt like he was actually like I couldn't believe him as Harrison Ford's kid. I didn't believe it. Just
I mean,
never.
the age difference was enough to kind of fuck that up too. Like that made it real hard for me to accept because like, yeah, he looks like he's supposed to be 30 himself, but he's playing someone who's 21 and his dad's 140,
Yeah, the math.
and I
doesn't
can't.
add up.
Yeah, and I
Because
can't
Harrison
handle it.
Ford has been old since he was born.
Yes.
He was born a grumpy old man, and I.
Yeah, he,
I feel like that's why I like bond so well with him, or just like yeah.
elderly
I
potheads.
understand.
Why does it have to be elderly potheads?
Nice
Family
Indiana
Guy
Jones
reference.
and also Family Guy reference.
Yeah,
But
boom.
Scott, so you mentioned E.T. in Star Wars,
Yes.
but what you didn't mention was Yoda in E.T.
Oh, that's true. Yes, I always
Yeah.
forget. That's a good point because I'm not a big ET person.
Yeah, no, the movie did nothing for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wow. Rarely am I the one that sits here and defends a film, but I love E.T. Anyway.
Honestly,
I think I was too
I
old when I
wa-
watched it, to be honest.
I watched the movie Mac and Me before I watched E.T., so I had this like association of alien life forms are Mac and Me, whereas E.T. I was kind of like, I saw Mac and Me first, so
What
fuck
is
you guys.
Mac and Me?
You've never seen Mac and
I
Me?
don't know.
Oh
You had
my
to tell
goodness.
me what
Okay,
it is.
so this I can't remember all the details. All I know is they either crash onto Earth or they come from Area 51. But there's this family of aliens, okay,
Okay.
who like live off. It's either Coke or Pepsi. It's some kind of cola. I can't remember which one sponsored it, but it's one of them.
Yeah.
And this guy, or a guy or a girl, someone who is the character Me, is trying to help this baby alien Mac like get back to his family and like be safe from
Oh, okay.
like the government trying to nab him, and like it's so fucking corny.
Okay.
Like
Sounds like
most 90s family movies, like,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like it sucked me in. Just like Milo and Otis, like where it's just a couple of animals doing something. Like it just seeing it when I was young and watching it a couple times, I was like, okay, cool, works for me.
I get it.
I mean, I only had like 8 movies at my cottage when I was a kid, so those were the movies I would continually watch.
That makes sense.
So I watched them like on a loop. So I kind of got hooked.
That's why I love Arnold Schwarzenegger so much, because I only had the Twins VHS when I was in the hospital for a week. And
Speaking of which, not to get even more sidetracked, I heard something this week
no,
that
just
there's the Triplets movie.
with Eddie Murphy.
And
as the
and
third
if they make
triplet.
that, I will never see that
Yeah,
ever. I can't do it. I
Yeah,
can't do
agree.
it.
I'm kind of with that.
Like the only thing I would watch is a YouTube clip of the scene where they try to explain how he's related to
Yeah,
them.
I would
and
watch a
I'd be
skit about it, like a Funny or Die 20. Like I'd give them 20 minutes maybe.
give them an SNL skit.
That would be perfect. Yeah.
That's it. Just somehow get them on there. Boom.
Yeah.
Problem fucking solved.
Exactly.
Anyways, Craig totally hijacked that.
Yeah.
That's fine. That was the ET reference that I was making.
Yes.
You jogged
Yoda
my
and
memory when you said ET, and
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, and Yoda was in, so yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They did a little crossover. Yeah. They're in both.
So I promised you two that I would come up with a Family Guy reference or two.
Yep.
So I picked
I'm excited.
I picked one of the more laden, the reference laden episodes because I couldn't find one that's very specific, like a generic list.
Okay.
So I just decided to go with an episode in season 9, which I've started watching. Besides the reference that I talked about beforehand, which is the entire music video for Dancing in
Yep.
the Street. Yeah. Yeah. Worst song ever.
Everyone
but man, that music video is
around the world.
the music video kind of makes up for it.
Because it's
a
so
terrible
far out
song, but the music video is just ridiculous.
there. Oh god, their outfits though, man. Their outfits.
I know.
They're like dancing in the street in pajamas and trench coats. If you're wearing pajamas and trench coats, you definitely nowadays are 100% a pedophile.
It's Mick
No
Jagger
questions
and
asked.
David
You're a
Bowie in
pedophile.
the 80s. What do you want?
Oh god.
It's too much, man. Anyways, what episode is the reference to?
And then there were fewer. The
Then there
Clue
were
type
fewer.
episode where they
Okay.
find out that Diane Sawyer's the murderer. Spoiler alert.
Yep. Spoiler.
It's
when
a
they're
two-part.
at
At
James Woods' mansion.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
it's 100% Clue. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and they do a whole thing where they're chasing, who were they chasing around the table? They were chasing somebody around the table.
They're chasing.
And then they split up. Was it? It wasn't Tom.
No,
Tucker.
it was it was Tom Sawyer. Not Tom Sawyer. Tom Tucker.
It was Tom Tucker. There you go. So they're chasing him
Yeah.
around the table, and like it's the shot up above of the. It looks like the clue board.
Yeah.
There is. The other one that came to mind was when Peter's at the top of the stairs and says "Go Gadget skis" and then face plants.
Yep.
That one's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, that Family Guy is just full of references to
It's a whole
stuff
show. Yeah.
people don't even know. Like, you'll be watching a movie and it'll hit you. Like, there's so many Jurassic Park references in that movie or that show. I mean,
Yeah.
like you'll be watching it and then what was it? It's an episode. I think it's the episode where Lois gets pregnant with like her college friend's kid. Or so it's an episode where someone's pregnant and then Peter goes, "Life finds a way."
Yes.
And I remember
I just
thinking like,
watched
what
that.
I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? And then going back and watching Jurassic Park after that, and then hearing Dr. Ian Malcolm say, "Life finds a way," and I was like, "Oh shit!" Family Guy didn't do it first.
They never do.
Nope.
There-
Welcome
there
to
isn't a single
Executive
joke.
Bathroom Island. But yeah, that show's just stacked. And back to Clue, I like that they do it in Psych as well.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
just one of those tropes you can keep going back to as long as you've been around long enough, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, every sci-fi show ever does it at one point too.
Yeah,
Like that, or like the Murder on the Orient Express. It's one of those two.
yeah.
Because they're kind of
They're,
similar.
they're exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. One's in a mansion, one's
Yeah.
on a train. One has Cleavesby. Clisby.
I just hadn't seen Murder on the Orient Express, so I couldn't.
So good, man.
Yeah,
So
I've
good.
been meaning to watch it. It hasn't come to the library yet, or Netflix.
It will. It will.
Man, you should have just left it at the library. It would have sounded so old. It would have been great.
Yep.
Fit completely in.
We're old.
Fit in with our motif, exactly. Just, it hasn't come to the library yet. Waiting for it on Betamax. Don't worry about it.
That or I want it on audiobook.
Yeah.
Audio 8-track. Audio
yeah.
8-track.
With closed captions, so you can put on your Walkman.
Exactly.
Not the disc Walkman either. The Discman. No.
Yeah,
the big yellow brick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that we're
The
old
one-
enough to remember it.
The one that can break
No, my
windows.
dad had one of those.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did when I was younger. Got that shit second hand.
Obviously.
Obviously.
They were outdated by the time we
were born.
We came
Yeah.
around. Yeah,
But,
no, the big thing was mini clips.
I never had one of those.
No.
I remember watching the
but
songs on
I've seen
YTV.
it.
Yeah, I remember the commercials on YTV for.
I
And being like, I
knew
want
people who-
one.
Or like the ones that played like the mini music videos that were like
Yep,
this
yep.
big, but had the screen this small. And it's just like,
Yep.
just what? Even as a kid, I was just like, no, that's a ripoff. Like,
They gave you a Tamagotchi screen
exactly.
on a Game Boy Color body.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous.
Oh, nostalgia.
Yes. But Craig, did you have any more Family Guy ones off the top of your head? Or
No,
written
not
down?
off the top of my head.
Well, that means
I
we're
really-
off to Andrew then, right?
Well, then I will hijack it, and I will mention the final Indiana Jones reference,
Yep.
which was in the background of, was it
It's,
Raiders?
Yeah, it's Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. They have a C-3PO and R2-D2 in the background on the wall as a couple of hieroglyphics.
Which is the word I had trouble saying.
There we go.
/ could not say.
I had to make sure I enunciated it, though, because I was like, shit.
What if? Yeah. What if? You
What if I
screwed
fuck it up?
Yeah.
We
I
would
feel
have
like-
stopped the episode for 5 minutes. We just
Yep.
couldn't
Laugh.
would not have been
Just-
able to go on.
Laughing. Yeah. Stupid.
That's the end of episode 25, the end of Forgot to Grow Up as we know it. No more.
Because we couldn't stick the landing on hieroglyphics.
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 I'm not gonna say
Hey,
it.
Roo.
I'm just not gonna say it. It's not happening.
Come on,
I'm
Scott.
not getting it on recording. I already made a fool of myself before we started. It may already be recorded at some point. I don't remember.
So, other than that, onto my list.
Yes.
So, Scott mentioned the E.T. in Star Wars Episode 1
Yeah.
when they're at the Senate, so I'm not going to mention that. I can't remember. I think, honestly, I spaced a little bit throughout yours, to be honest. Did you mention Batman and Robin comics on the background in Watchmen?
No, I did not.
Okay, that's I spaced out and I heard you mention comic, and I was like, "Fuck! Did he just say what I said?" So in the background of a scene in Watchmen,
Yes.
there's a flat out bold and beautiful Batman and Robin comic head or comic strip or like the cover, just boom right in the background, easy to see.
That's awesome.
Just like you can see a couple of newspapers throughout it, and some of them say Gotham, and they make references to Thomas and Martha Wayne's murder.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Moving on to one that I think Craig will like, in the movie Tron.
Ooh.
There's a scene on the battle cruiser where they're looking at the screen to like figure it out, and it's Pac-Man. It's 100% the game Pac-Man.
Yeah, I saw that on a bunch of lists when I was doing research for this, and I'm like, I haven't seen that Tron yet.
No, you haven't. We continue
No.
to talk.
No, you
about
have
As
it.
we
not.
continue
You
to bring
still
up
need to
on
watch.
Yep. Tron comes up more often in our podcast than one would think it would come up ever in life.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many episodes will go before I eventually end up seeing it.
Actually watch
Seeing
it.
Tron. It'll be like episode 50, and we'll have to make like a special Tron dedicated episode.
Maybe I'll wait to see if they make a sequel.
A sequel to the sequel?
Yeah, exactly.
I
Or
don't
prequel.
think they will. I can't. See
No,
that
it's
happening.
way past that time. That was the joke.
I think a prequel would be pretty cool, where they talk about about the dad like making it, or when
Yeah, I'd
what's
be
his
down
face
for that.
making.
Yeah, I'd
That'd be
for
pretty
that.
cool. And then at the end, like he gets sucked into it.
It's like a Steve Jobs-esque movie,
Kind of, yeah. But better,
but better.
'cause it's Tron.
Because it's not about Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
And he's not in the Tron.
No.
It's like a mix.
It's just him like becoming obsessed with like developing this game.
But you can't cast Jeff Bridges then.
Why not?
We have de-aging technology.
Whole movie.
Why not?
De-aging technology has come so much further since that movie came out.
That's true.
Yeah, man.
The sequel, that is. 'Cause they de-aged him in that, right, for a little bit?
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, so they could. The villain is him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The
bit
villain
younger.
always messed with my head a little bit because I'm like, I think that's him, but we can't do that yet, can we? I remember thinking that at the time.
Is that
I was
a
like,
thing?
Are we that advanced? Are we de-aging and putting people's faces on other people's faces already? Is that the world we came to? And now we just do it every other day. You can download an
And now
app
it's in
that
Marvel
does it.
movies
Yeah,
left, right, and center.
every
So
Marvel movie. You can do it on your phone if you get the right app. It's just the world's
too much,
just
man.
So much.
Too much.
It's so old.
If they can do it with Kurt Russell in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and make it look legit,
So legit.
they can do it with Jeff Bridges' old ass in Tron .0. Because that's what I'm naming this movie in my head, and that's what it's going to be called.
Okay.
In my head.
Yeah.
So next up, I have in
So
Fight Club, every scene has like a Starbucks cup of coffee in it, in the background somewhere. Always. Which I think, personally, is kind of a cool reference to consumerism and how it controls us.
Yeah.
Having it in that movie about like how we're fucking lambs or sheep being pushed through by the machine.
Yeah, I never noticed the Starbucks cups. I was always so focused on the IKEA part of that, like, message, the consumerism message. The fact that he buys all the shit from IKEA, and like his whole apartment's IKEA. Just, they have a few other references throughout the movie too.
No, like there's always a Starbucks like cup sitting there in like every scene of the movie.
Do you think Starbucks paid for that, or they just did it as a consumerism thing?
I want to say both.
I'm hoping
I want to
it's
say
both,
like
yeah.
I want to say Starbucks like sponsored them after like they kind of came to them and said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna do this and make you guys look like shitheads, but please give us money and we'll make you look like good shitheads."
We won't make it as obvious that we won't.
Yeah.
We won't make you the IKEA of it, because like I associate, like in that movie, IKEA to the consumerism message, and not Starbucks. So maybe Starbucks paid them and put them more in like the background, or like not as more of not.
Maybe Starbucks paid them to make IKEA look like the shitheads.
It's possible.
And then just use Starbucks to like
Starbucks wants to get into
up there.
furniture.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's a
I mean, for
long
some of
D's
the some of the prices they're charging for their stuff, you can buy furniture from less. So next up on my list, I've got the fact that in the last Godzilla movie that came out with Bryan Cranston, not Billy, Bryan, they actually make reference to the one from 1998, I believe, 98, 99.
Oh, do they?
Where they make reference to like all the past monsters that have come through, and like back in 1998 in New York, they referenced the disaster, which was Godzilla 2000.
Oh.
And personally, I actually really liked that movie. I thought it was pretty good.
I was young enough.
Maybe it was because I was a kid.
Yeah, I was gonna say we were both young enough when it came out that it's in that area of like
that
we
it was
didn't
the
find
best.
it trash like other people. We just enjoyed all the good parts of it.
Well, even watching it over the last couple years, it's a decent movie. It's not terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
It's probably the best Godzilla they'd made up to that point. The only difference is they changed his look entirely to make him look more like a raptor, but I thought it was cool.
I thought it made sense. It kind of went with the Jurassic Park, because it was around the same time as like the second or third Jurassic Park was coming out.
Yeah.
So I think it was a little bit of that in the mix.
Yeah, it was badass. I liked it.
Yeah,
Matthew
I enjoyed
Broderick was gangsta as fuck.
It's better
They
than
got,
the King Kong movie back then.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But, so I got that. On to the next one. I have in Back to the Future, the Back to the Future 1? No, it's 1. Definitely Back to the Future 1. The when he takes his DeLorean back in time and crashes into the barn of the cranky-ass old farmer.
Yeah.
And then they come in and he comes out, he's wearing his time travel suit, and they think he's a spaceman.
Yeah.
The dad bitches at him, he's like, "Hey, Sherman, what are you doing?" And then he chases him out of the house and he starts firing, and you see the mailbox that says Peabody on it, which is a reference to the time traveling, I believe it was just a comic strip at the time, Sherman and Mr. Peabody.
Yeah.
Which it's a dog with his kid, who's a boy. which is confusing as all shit. But they're time travelers. They go throughout history and like learn shit.
I think
Okay.
he's an adopted son.
Yeah,
But I don't
I would hope.
remember
I
the-
would hope it's an adopted
I don't
son,
remember
not
the
like
Sherman and
Brian
Peabody
and
better.
Family Guy, who has a couple of real human
Yes.
children.
I've never heard of that like comic strip or that reference before.
No, well, there's a couple
cool, though.
movies and
They
cartoons
made a
on
new movie
Netflix.
not that long ago.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. But they got that, which brings me to my next little tiny tidbit Easter egg that's in Back to the Future. It's just that they have Huey Lewis as a teacher, who's judging and picking the acts for the talent show.
Oh,
And I thought that was dope
that's pretty
because
cool. Yeah, I
because
didn't
it's
know
Huey
that.
Lewis, and we all know that I man crush hard on Huey Lewis.
For sure. Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't know that one either. That's awesome. I like
That's forgot to grow up.
that they also retcon the fact, like retcon history in it, and the fact that what's his name is like stole the one song at the end, like
Oh yeah,
'cause
yeah.
he
Where
calls
they, Johnny Be Good.
yeah, he's like
Yeah.
the one guy calls his like cousin or whatever, and is like,
Yeah.
"Yo, you gotta hear this," and I'm
It
just
was
like, "Oh,
was it
wait a-
Marvin Astley or something?
I think it was
No, I think that's the
That's-
Family Guy reference I was making.
The Family Guy
Yeah, yeah.
reference
It's
is,
Chuck
is
Berry.
the
Chuck Berry,
it's
yeah.
Chuck Berry. Yeah, the Family Guy references.
Yeah, so never gonna give you
Yeah.
up. Never gonna let you down. Yeah, so that brings me to my last one. And Craig, I know you're gonna like this one, so buckle in. In the second season of The Good Place,
Oh, have you watched the second season?
I have
The second season.
second season.
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Oh,
There is a very short scene where Ted Danson is tending bar.
No.
Ah.
A la Sam Malone.
Does he talk about how he used to pitch?
I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just saying it's there.
this makes me.
And
When's the second season gonna be out on Netflix?
Yeah.
they literally like give it to me so I can
This
watch
is,
it
like,
all the
One
time.
new the
I'm
newest show
torn.
that we all agree on, that we all
Yeah.
love.
I'm torn between actually wanting there to be a second season because I don't think it'll work as well.
Because it
I
ended
know it's already
perfectly.
been made.
There's a
But-
third season being made
I
already.
know. I don't want there to
I
be
don't
a
know if I
second
tagged
season.
you both in it or if I just tagged one of you in it, but I remember seeing an article.
I don't remember being tagged in it.
No, I didn't
I
tag
don't
you guys on Facebook on that
No.
or Instagram. Damn.
You probably just got so excited.
Maybe. Anyways, they announced they confirmed a third season. I'm like, I remember thinking, I thought I'd sent it to one of you guys. Anyways, but it was I was like, oh, well, there's a third season coming out, and I know both of you were happy with one season, and I was like,
Yep.
Like it ended
there
so
two
perfectly,
more
but
times.
at the same time, the fact that Ted Danson was tending bar,
Yeah.
it was perfect. Plus, it's Ted Danson, so it's perfect to begin with.
And
But
that's a
Yeah, but
great
Ted
Easter egg
Danson
for us to add to
tending
the
bar is-
episode.
yeah,
Very good. Obviously.
and that was my last Easter egg.
Right on. Did you watch The Good Place then this week?
I did. I was
Okay.
on my
Then just
WWWTW.
Yeah, why don't you start the segment off? then?
Segue. So I watched WWWTW. I watched The Good Place season 2. Got most of the way through it, and it was sweet.
Do you like how they continued it then, or like how they?
It's pretty good. It's better than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I'm glad that they made it, but at the same time, I would have been glad if they didn't, just because it was such a perfect cap off.
Yeah, but you're okay with
But
the way they decided to continue
yeah.
it, like the justification.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I can't get enough of Kristen Bell lately.
Yeah, I love
after
her.
watching and finishing House of Lies.
Oh yeah, she's so great in that show. It's
Yeah,
like-
and like just the attitude.
I feel like she
that's
just got
enough
to be
like,
herself in that show,
Yeah.
like more than anything. Just
I feel like
or,
she's
her
like
turned up to
she's-
an 11. You know what I mean? Like her
I
personality,
feel
but like a
she's-
caricature of it.
Definitely, she's like that secret, like tiny little woman who you think is going to be like so nice and polite, and then she's just a sassy bitch, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh,
I
what?
love you. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, what are you doing?
You're so awesome. Why'd you have to
And
marry
then,
the guy
like,
from Without
her-
a paddle?
Her character's pretty much Dax Shepard. Her character's like the exact same in both. Just she doesn't swear as much
Yeah, in The Good Place.
in The Good Place,
Just 'cause
and when
it's a
she
PG
does,
show.
yeah, and when she does swear, they
It's
change it to something,
changed. Yeah, it's
Yes.
edited in the script.
which is
Primetime
excellent.
TV, yes.
Yeah. So I also watched the stand-ups. The second season of
Yes.
stand-ups got added.
Which I've been
And-
waiting for since the first season of the stand-ups.
I saw
Got it.
watched
Yeah,
the first one
absolutely.
yet.
They I think it was kind of right on par like what they did with the first season, how they had some really good comics, and then some people who, take it or leave it, probably have a
Yeah.
little niche.
Other people probably liked them a lot better than we did, I think.
Like I gotta say, this season, I think overall, the first season, it was like, it's starting so hot with Nate Bargatze. It kind of simmered down throughout the rest. There's a couple of good comedians, but overall, I was like, you started a little too hot. This time, I think they started off kind of mediocre and then got better as they went, or not better. Kyle Kanani was amazing. Like, I love him. I think he needs like 8 more hours of show, but then all the other comedians are pretty good too. Like even I forget her name, the last comedian in it. She had a cameo briefly in Master of None as the ramen noodle blogger, and I wasn't expecting her to be that funny, and I actually laughed quite a bit.
That's good.
But I forget his name too. The first one, I was kind of disappointed with his bit. I thought he was kind of a weak, but maybe it's just because he didn't hit my funny bone. But overall, I thought they were very funny. What did you think about it, Craig?
So I knew that Kyle Kinane was going to be in it first, and I really like Kyle Kinane, and so that's the only thing I was excited for. And then I found out Brent Morin was going to be in it. And
he's very consistent.
Yeah, he is.
I feel like his delivery is all he's got going for.
He's consistently like funny, not in an over the top way.
Yeah.
I think his actual special, and I think it's on Netflix, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's better than his half-hour bit he did for the stand-ups.
Oh, for sure. I think it's because he got up the whole hour and the way he delivered.
Time to warm up. Yeah. And he spent way too much time on the stupid Uber joke.
Yeah, left me for a fucking magician. George, you remember George?
I'm gonna take you to the hospital because you're clearly not well.
No, George.
Kyle Kinane was absolutely hilarious, as I expected it to be.
Like his delivery, I think again was probably my favorite because he was like a mesh of multiple comedians who I really like. Like he does the joke about the knife throwing table, which I won't tell the joke because I want Scott to watch it because it's that funny. Okay. But he's like, and just the way he does it and the way he says it just reminds me exactly of Joe Rogan.
Okay, that's okay. That's got me a little more intrigued because I'm like, I like Joe Rogan. Okay.
If you watch,
if you watch comparison, I can get on board with.
Watch Kyle Kinane. It's only half-hour and it's just so funny.
Yeah, I just didn't see that the second season wasn't even out. I've been meaning to watch the first season, but I forgot it existed because my Netflix list got reset like 2 months ago.
Yeah, we talked about it that one time. Yep.
But yeah, when that happened though, it's not in my suggestions anymore. Does that make sense?
Okay, start off, go right to Nate Bargatze right off the bat.
In the first season?
Boom.
Yeah,
in the first season. It's
episode
episode
1.
Okay, that's
boom.
lots easier.
Start strong, and then skip the rest of season 1.
All right, that's nice.
And go to season 2, episode 3. That's Kyle Kinane.
I like this. It's very easy.
If you're gonna watch 2, make it those.
Yeah, I can do that easily while I'm like editing a video.
And they're half hour, and you may need it more than half hour because you're gonna want to pause and piss yourself laughing and then change your pants.
Especially about midway through Nate Bargatze and the end of Nate Bargatze's bits. Those two are just like the first time I watched it, I had to pause it. And then same thing with Kyle Kinane. He does jokes about nothing, but they're so funny.
And I think it's funny because he starts off where he's doing where he does one joke and he moves through so many different topics, but they all seem to somehow meld together. And it was a very seamless transition. Whereas some comics, they just they'll start talking and then they'll stop and be like, so alligator pussy, and they'll just jump into the next thing. No segue.
Yeah, like some kind of segue or like, oh, that reminds me of, like, even that's a little lazy, but it's better than just like
it's something. Yeah.
Then besides like, oh, grapes. I'm like, wait, what?
What about grapes? They're delicious.
They're great. Yeah. What about them? Raisins.
Do you freeze them and use them as ice cubes? What are you doing?
What are you talking about? Do you making some juice?
You want some juice?
Maybe.
I want some.
I didn't know what was next. I couldn't remember what the line was.
I do want some milk with ice in it, though.
Yes.
So, anyways, I watched the stand-ups.
Last time you guys made it.
Yeah. So watched the stand-ups, crushed it. I watched like half of the Stanford Prison Experiment.
That came across my...
And then I tapped out because it was just getting too intense for me. Like I've read about it and I know what it is, so I was like, yeah, I'll come back to you.
Didn't we study that in like Soch? Maybe I don't think we took Soch together.
Sounds about right.
I think you took Soch.
I remember talking about it.
Yeah, I feel like
we didn't have Soch together because I took it in French.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's as soon as I said it out loud, I'm like, no, you were in French Soch.
Yep.
With Monsieur
Marais.
I thought that's what it was, but then I was like, am I being too cliche Frenchman? No.
Yeah.
Not at all. Not in Canada. But what else did you watch, Andrew?
I watched Black Lightning. I'm not quite caught up, but I'm close.
Oh, okay, good, because I haven't watched this week's episode yet. But I'm pretty close. It's still pretty good. I'm liking it. The pacing's really good. How are you enjoying it?
I like it. I mean, I'm afraid that they're going to try to squeeze too much into too much.
Yeah.
Like, that's concerning, but...
It seems like they're starting a few different, like, subplot lines or, like, mini-plot, like, subplots, and I'm just like... I'm curious where they go, but there's a few of them, right? Because
I think there's been too many, like, little slight twists, and I don't know if it's because it's their first season that it's been out and they're trying to do these already, but I'm worried that down the road they're going to have extinguished all those possibilities too fast. Because it is a really good show.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's really good, yeah. But I just see what you mean. Like, they're kind of, like, eliminating a few things, but
yeah,
I am kind of curious how the longevity is going to work with this.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd like to see 5 seasons of it.
Oh, I'm sure it'll
like,
get that far.
I like the actor. I'm not sold on his kids. Something about them rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I mean,
I could see that. Their attitude and
yeah,
like I complain about this a lot, but sometimes some actors just I feel like they're acting, and it's just like I want you to be that role. Like I know I'm like really criticizing for something that I can't do myself, but like if you're gonna
as a spectator,
the one thing I want like to be engulfed to really get me like invested in a character, I have to feel like they are that character, even if it's somebody
especially on a TV show where it's going to be maybe on a weekly basis. But if you set them to binge it, you want to see them in that character, being that character.
Yeah.
And it is really over a more prolonged period of time than sitting and watching them in a movie.
Yes, exactly.
Right. It's you do have to see character development and character growth.
And they're balancing a few characters because it's not like the other DC shows on CW, because those are all like superhero with a team, where this is again a superhero, but it's his family's a big focus too. Like it's a balance.
And all of them start off they start off as one thing, and then you get to watch them grow into that. Whereas Black Lightning, he already existed as Black Lightning,
which
and then he's coming back and he's absolutely, and he's picking up where he left off. But you don't get to see him grow and like figure out the start of his powers and stuff. Exactly. So it was a different take on the previously done stuff.
For sure.
Although you do get to see his daughter go through that growth period. So
yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's kind of what I feel like maybe that's why they brought her on right away too.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was me coughing this time.
Give you that thunder and lightning duo.
Yeah, which I really like the idea of, but I think they're starting with her so soon because to have that kind of like balance, like, oh, we don't have his origin story to tell, but we're telling hers, which is very similar to what his was, like kind of a little bit. But they also are kind of like relating it into his origin story because he's still hasn't like finished that business, right? Like, this would be in the sense like if Batman knew who the killer, well, I guess he does know at some points who the killer of his parents are, but
killing your own argument, I like it.
Yeah, you know what I mean though. Like, well, he does know who the killer is, but you can't just go kill a killer all the time. It's not as easy as that, right? So, you know what I mean? So like, absolutely. I am really curious to see how long they'll play out with this particular villain in the storyline, how they're gonna build on it, because I can't see him being a villain for multiple seasons. DC has never done that in any of their shows yet. Kind of have, but not really. Like they'll take a break off with certain villains for a season and maybe bring them back. In The Flash, they've done that a few times with a couple of the Flash's villains and a couple of Arrow's villains have kind of crossed over. But this one I think it's being that I don't know enough about the mythology around it.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious to see where they do go. It's a good show. Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the other things I watched this week was I saw Black Panther again.
All right, right on.
And it's still a good movie, still has plot holes that bug me. but it's still a good movie.
Yes.
And I also watched Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, right on.
It's been playing this week at the shop
Oh, nice. Right on.
because I need something to play as background music, or background noise, I should say.
Yes.
And there's quite a few plot holes in that one as well.
The time thing was the one that annoyed me the most because it's so lazy. It's like, it's one, like literally one number you guys had to get right, and you screwed it
Yeah.
up. Like,
Yeah.
like, wait, what? Like one number you guys couldn't get right. That's the one that annoys me the most.
Which I just realized it's not a plot hole, it's just a hole in general,
Yeah.
is that Black Panther picks up immediately after Civil War,
Yes.
and his hair grew so much. Like, it picks up immediately
I love
after, and
that
it looks
you
like,
notice these things.
and it's been
'cause
like,
again,
it looks
you're a
like it's been
barber.
like a month since it happened,
Yeah. 'Cause it's
and
like-
his hair's all like
Yeah.
overgrown, and everyone else has like clean, fresh haircuts, and his is clearly overgrown. I'm like, dude, you're the king.
Yeah, because
Like,
he had a pretty like just a plain just like a shortcut in
yeah.
in Civil War, but then he had a hairdo in
Yeah.
Black Panther. That's a
Like,
good
yeah,
point,
yeah, he's got it styled.
It's supposed to take place like a week
And
after.
his
or a week
beard
and
has
days
changed a
after.
bit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it's one of those things that no one in their right mind is gonna
Yeah, I
notice
didn't
but
even
me.
think of that as a thing. Like I thought he looked a little different, but I'm just like maybe it's just because he's in different clothing than when I saw him in Civil War, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, or I'm like, oh, he's a little old. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't notice it at all. Like I questioned myself before I questioned the movie, but yeah.
Yeah.
I could see why you would notice that, yeah.
I noticed that shit.
Like now that you pointed out, I'm just like, yeah, his hair was really short in Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Like he didn't have a hairstyle. He just had the goatee and like just hair. He
That's
had a little bit of hair.
super clean look. Yeah.
Very crisp, clean look.
Which I guess you could make the argument that like his dad just died, so he's going through some shit, but
I don't think that makes your hair
which
grow quicker.
which also takes me to another thing I'm just thinking of.
Yeah.
They never talk about the fact that he was the Black Panther. Did he become the Black Panther after his dad died, or was he it before his dad died? Because they make it seem like you're not allowed to take up the mantle until the previous king is dead.
Does he do some pretty crazy stuff in Civil War?
Like he has the powers, 100%.
And
Yeah.
his dad's still alive?
No,
His
after his
dad-
dad dies.
his dad-
Oh.
They
So it's like
introduce him and
almost
his dad at the
immediately?
same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We only get like 10 seconds of him before.
I've only
his dad
seen it
dies.
once.
Yeah.
His
so-
dad dies immediately. Like that's the
Yeah.
that's the
Within like 2 minutes. Yeah.
That's the ensuing thing. But then he disappears for a little bit. So it's possible that he flew.
He
back
disappears
to,
for like a day.
Yeah, so it's possible he flew back to Wakanda and came back. Like he just went and snagged the stuff. Maybe. Yeah, that's all. I can
But
think of.
what?
He just went back
But
and
wouldn't he
snagged
have?
it.
Wouldn't he have had to go through the ritual? I don't think they would have been like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't they have had to do that? I don't think they would have been like, no, it's cool. We know you're probably gonna be king. Maybe take the stuff.
Maybe there's a revenge clause, like father-son revenge
I don't know.
clause. But then it's like, well,
But
Killmonger could've
the suit
gone
fit
on
him
that.
perfectly. The suit fit him perfectly, and they reference that it's old technology.
For them, yeah.
Or the old suit. They reference that when Shuri makes him the new one. So he's been doing it for a while. But he shouldn't have had the powers because he wasn't king yet.
I don't know. Maybe the mantle isn't necessarily only the king. Maybe the king can be like, oh, I'm too old for this shit. My son is now the Black Panther, but I'm still king. Maybe that's what it was.
But he would have still had the herb in him, so he would have still had the strength, the heightened awareness, and the heightened speed and reflexes.
Who would have still had the herb in him? His dad?
T'Chaka.
Maybe at a certain age, it's just too much for your body anymore.
I need just a short movie associated comic strip, like 42
Maybe
pages
it's in the
long that just explains
the
all
prelude
this.
comic. I haven't.
Hopefully,
I haven't read
because
the Black
this is
Panther one, but,
this is gonna dwell on me and it's gonna drive me nuts.
I'm sure you could Google it after. Watch one of those Black Panther.
I gots to
videos.
know. Gots to know.
Yeah, that's
But
interesting.
that's all I watched this week. However, I did see two things that I kind of want to talk about before I forget. I saw that they're developing a new Marvel show, Cloak and Dagger. I don't know if you saw
Oh
that.
yeah, the new trailer dropped.
Yeah.
This past
Yeah.
week, and
Yep.
that's coming to Freeform, I believe, which is is Disney's
Yeah.
American family streaming service at the moment.
Yeah.
Which
I saw that, and after watching it, literally all I could think of was Ragman from Arrow in the Arrowverse.
Fair enough, yeah.
Like his cloak just seems like I don't know who came up with the character first, if it was DC had it first or Marvel had it first. The character seems like a ripoff of one versus the other, and I'm okay with that because I loved Ragman and Arrow. If they're gonna give a similar take,
I don't know if you know Cloak and Dagger's powers from the comics.
well, I know that Cloak like he's like a mystical or like a shadowy form that sucks the dudes into his shadow.
Yeah, so he's like pure darkness in a sense, and she's like pure light, and that's
light,
why they have to hang out.
she makes like blades and shit out of light.
Because they balance each other's like energy out. Otherwise, if like they get separated, I guess in the comics, like bad shit happens. Like they both start to implode in a sense or explode, and so like they have to hang out a lot, and that's.
But I just thought that him sucking them into his darkness was kind of the same as like Ragman just like sucking out your life force.
Yeah.
Like into the rag suit.
Yeah.
And I like that, to be honest with you. I could, if they made a whole Ragman show, I'd be psyched. Even if they just give me one season of the animated style, like Vixen or something.
Oh, that'd be cool, actually. Yeah, I'd agree.
I think that'd be awesome. I would love that shit.
Good for his character, because that'd be cheaper.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot cheaper for them, because that's why they did Vixen that way. Was because trying to do all those extra effects of her power
with her animal.
Her animaling up every
totems,
dozen times an episode is a lot. So it's like I could see
definitely
why they did the animated. I could see that one being a good animated one as well, the Ragman. But yeah, Cloak and Dagger also looks kind of good. I don't know how I'm going to be able to watch it though. Like, just because
there's so many shows out there we can't watch because they keep putting on stupid streaming shit that we can't get to.
Yeah, like The Gifted and The Runaways are both that way right now.
Fucking Hulu.
Exactly. So it's like, okay.
Fuck you, Hulu.
Yeah, and there's I'm sure there's other ones that I can't even think of because we don't get Hulu here in Canada.
Yeah.
And we don't get Freeform, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But the only other thing I wanted to talk about, and it was. I don't know if it's confirmed or not, but there's been a theory out there, and they've kind of put it together via pictures in the new Infinity War trailer that hints that maybe Thor makes Stormbreaker.
Yeah, I've heard that for a while. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I'd be so psyched.
Because in one of the first promo or concept arts, he had the new hammer.
Yeah. With the weird little axe blade on the
and a few of the toys I think released have also kind of like spoiled it a little bit. But yeah, there's a scene in the trailer where you see what looks like him in like the center of a star. I mean, not a heart in the center of a star. I was gonna say the heart of a star, but then I was like, that's just too. Yeah.
Well, then in the new one where he kind of like holds something up and like. Gets struck by lightning, as gods of thunder do, which is always kind of bugged me.
Yeah, that's bugged me.
One doesn't go. One isn't the other.
It started with Pokemon, to be honest.
Related though. You don't
get
thunder
Pikachu and his Thunder Shock.
Thunder Shock.
Yeah, it's like, wait,
Thunderbolt.
Yeah, Thunderbolt. Yeah, it's like, wait, there's no such thing as a Thunderbolt.
Those aren't the same thing.
No.
I'm a kid and I know that.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty sweet because. I like the concept of Stormbreaker, and I would like to see somewhere down the line maybe introduce Beta Ray Bill, and then give him Stormbreaker.
Well, they have a little reference to him / his people. Well,
they have it in Guardians of the Galaxy. They show the skull of his people, like when Star-Lord's dancing around listening to Redbone, trying to find the orb.
Oh, so there's a couple references because he's also
he's also on the Thor Ragnarok. He's on
as one of the
the
champions,
heads of the champions,
Which I like the idea that was Beta Ray Bill who just left before the Hulk had gotten there. I like that. I kind of like the idea of that. I don't know why, but I like the.
Well, he's in Planet Hulk. Like they don't have Thor in him. He's got Beta Ray Bill, exactly. So I kind of like that homage too.
Yeah, same here. That's why I kind of like that idea, just because I'm just like, oh yeah, well, they're pretty much the same. Him and Thor are the same. Just Beta Ray Bill's got a horse face.
Yeah, I mean, Beta Ray Bill might be the best corny superhero name ever.
It's awesome.
Like it's so bad it's good.
Yeah, which is why we love it.
Anyway, so that's all I watched this week.
So, Craig, what did you watch this week?
So we already talked about the stand-up, so I'm going to push that right off to the side. I watched good. But not all of it this week. I also watched the Nate Bargatze episode today at work.
Because it's so good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had to watch it again because it was hilarious. And then I might just go to Walmart to buy a hammock. We'll see.
Yep. Does Does that make me sound like I'm bragging?
Jeez. Must be nice to have two trees so close
Yeah.
together. I didn't know we were going to sit here and hear about how well you were doing.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all the jokes I'm doing. Scott, you have to
Yes.
watch that one later.
You have to watch it.
Okay, I will. That sounds kind of funny. I like that.
No, we're sold out.
Exactly.
No more jokes. Next on
No
your
Where
more
were
list.
you, Google? Family Guy. I watched Family Guy.
Yes. Okay. Family Guy. Of course.
Season 9. Yeah, so I started that again.
Finding out about new episodes.
Yeah, episodes.
In season 9.
I don't remember the is it a 2-part Christmas episode? Or just a single part?
Yeah, it's a 2-part, yeah.
Yeah.
Because the first part's the road to the North Pole where they get there, and then the second part is the episode where they deliver the presents for Santa,
Right.
and they end up killing that family.
Where the first one's the one where they drive into. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
funny. We're not delivering presents. This is a home invasion.
Yeah. Not to cut you off, I just realized I'm something I didn't mention. It was I watched Mike Tyson Mysteries, and I
Yeah!
finished that shit. That was some.
Episode
Yeah.
13. Thank you for
Yeah.
reminding me.
There we
Yes, it's been a long time coming, but we finally got to season 3, episode 13. Right, I think that's right. So yeah, it was on my list. Season 3.
go. It's season 2, episode 13,
Is it
isn't
only
it?
season 2? Damn.
Maybe not. Whatever.
They're
It's
so short, it doesn't matter.
They add an episode at the end of the previous season. After that season's all wrapped up, they add a new episode to that, and then they pick up immediately uploading the newest season to it, and they actually make a reference to the the episode they uploaded right before it,
Yeah.
and how it's kind of a fuck up, and I found that very funny, mainly because that show is just the bee's tits, it's so good.
It's so funny. So I watched that. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me.
You're welcome.
And then I recently restarted watching, and this is going to be the thing that sticks out like a sore thumb. I restarted watching Ken Burns' Prohibition.
Yeah, that is really sticking out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It's not really our. Well, I don't know what it
Yeah.
is. I imagine it's a documentary series of
yeah,
some kind.
it's 4.5, 5-hour documentary series about the Prohibition in the U.S.
Wait, didn't you just watch that a couple months ago?
No, it's been
Not since we've
like,
recorded.
Oh.
It's been like 6 months.
Okay, I remember you Snapchatting me about it at some point.
I just might have. I haven't. I might have restarted it and then stopped.
Maybe.
Yeah, I haven't watched it all the way through in like 6 months at least.
Is it one that's a reenactment or just like a bunch of interviews?
It's kind of a well, it's not really a reenactment. It's a combination between interviews and narration.
Okay, cool.
And they have a lot of old footage.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I
Um,
guess it would have been during the time that would have some footage kicking around.
Exactly, and Ken Burns is kind of the documentary maker, so
Fair enough.
it's very thorough. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Is that on Netflix?
It is. Prohibition's on Netflix, and the Civil War is on Netflix, and the West is on Netflix.
And those are all by Ken Burns?
Those are all Ken Burns documentaries.
I'll have to check those out. I like good documentary makers.
They're long historical documentaries. They're very.
It's the only way I learn about history because I can't read about it.
No, it's way more interesting to sit on the couch for 4 hours than it is to sit
Yeah, trying to flip
and
through a
read
thick
for 4
book.
hours.
So
Exactly.
with names I
And
can't
there's-
pronounce.
Exactly. There's pictures.
Yeah,
There's video. There's
exactly.
a little bit of audio. You
That's
get to
all I
listen
need.
to an awesome narrator. Some weird saloon music.
This Prohibition.
Yeah, and they don't. He doesn't just start and do like the entire thing isn't about however long Prohibition was.
Yeah,
It's
no, I imagine-
beforehand. How did we get up to it?
Yeah,
And
like what
all
led
the
to
things
it.
that happened to get there, and then what happened during it, and all the things that led to it being torn apart. It's really interesting in that it's like in that Prohibition was an amendment to
Yeah.
the U.S. Constitution, and it's one of the only ones that's been repealed.
That's really interesting.
So it kind of gives you a different look at U.S. politics and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I watched this week.
That's
I
everything.
don't think we got. Yeah, that's it.
That's fair.
It's been like
it's a short
3
week.
days.
Yeah, no, I was just making sure. I just wanted because mine's short too, which is kind of good. I might have a shorter episode for once, but yeah, I didn't get too much because we did squish a couple episodes closer together this week. But
Squishy squashy.
yeah, but I did watch the Ant-Man movie just for the countdown to Avengers: Infinity War that we do for our YouTube channel. Check that out.
And check it out. Comment on it.
Yeah, but yeah, that I just really enjoyed that one. I always forget how much of a fun movie that is. It's just a good, funny laugh. I really like Paul.
Well, the whole the criminal crew that he runs with.
Yeah, Michael Pena, I believe.
Yeah, Michael Pena, T.I., and then that Soviet Russian.
Exactly. It's just a really good dynamic between them all. And then oh, what's her name? I keep forgetting her name. The girl, but she's awesome. I like her dynamic.
Evangeline Lilly.
Thank you. Yes, Evangeline Lilly. I can never remember her. I'm always like, it's E.L., but I have no idea what the two are. But yeah, and then Michael Douglas was also de-aged in that one, which I always really liked that. I think that was one of the...
His wife just died.
Yeah. And he smashes the dude who eventually ends up at Hydra's face off of a desk, and it's a great opener to a movie. So I watched that, but if people want to hear more about that, they can watch the video on YouTube. I finished watching the Killjoys TV show, which I mentioned a couple times, the second season. I'm waiting for the third season just to get added to Crave TV whenever that happens, if it happens.
Hint, hint.
Yes, hint, hint. Not Crave TV listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that show. I would suggest it to anyone who likes a good, wacky kind of it's kind of got like a 90s sci-fi feel to it in the sense that they don't take themselves 100% seriously, but it's still enjoyable and a cool premise. Just a little bit more modern. And yeah, that was a good one to watch. And the only other thing I watched was DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which I watched the new episode yesterday.
Okay.
It was a good episode.
I was reading a thing that they were saying that Legends of Tomorrow has become the new golden show of the Arrowverse. It's the best, and I was like, I've always kind of felt like it was bringing up the ass end of it.
Right now, it's got the most intriguing storyline. I would say the most intriguing episode to episode storyline, because Flash is a little bit well, we kind of see where this is going, and then in Arrows again, it's very it's kind of this. I feel like Legends has finally had is having a really good season, and that's why it's being kind of recognized for that, because it's just having its standout season. Because it's a good for the show. I feel like it's probably one of the better story over the season, because it's only giving really small bits and pieces to who the big bad at the end is, and we're only just getting to it in these more recent episodes that have come out. Today, yesterday's episode was. You see a little bit of the big bad, but we haven't physically met him yet, because he's, I don't want to spoil too much, but he's a demon. So, and we also got John Constantine. I forgot, that was the one cool thing about yesterday's episode. Yeah. John Constantine's made a few cameos in this season. Yesterday's episode being one in particular. So I think that's kind of helped play into it. The fact that it's got a little bit more. And then Wally West is in the show now too. So I think the fact that it's just they've changed it up a little bit. They've got that. They've got that freedom in the Legends of Tomorrow that they can switch it up a little more, because it is a team.
That's fair, yeah.
And so I think it's just that. I think that's just all that hype around it is. It's having its best season so far, I would say. For everyone else, I've really enjoyed the show so far, but I get why most people have been a little hesitant to it. It does follow very kind of problem of the week kind of TV show format, which most of them are very like that, and then it had very cliche kind of overarching plots.
I don't like that it kind of conflicts with the timelines that are going on with the Flash and Arrow.
Yeah, that can be a little annoying too.
That confuses the shit out of me, because I'm is it a separate timeline? Is it an alternate timeline that they created?
But they go visit that timeline all the time. They'll go visit Barry, or they'll visit Central City for whatever, or Star City. And it's okay, I agree with that. That's a little confusing. I think the way they explain that is that stuff hasn't set. Time takes time to set, so that's why it doesn't affect the Arrow and Flash shows in a sense, because the Legends tend to fix the problem before time has time to they always explain it as like times like cement. It takes time to like set into
It's such a
stone.
comic book,
Yeah.
such a comic book answer to shit.
It
Just
it
do
is.
it and then hope no one notices.
So it is. That's 100% what that. Which is why I love the show though, because they're just
Yeah.
that show. I feel like they take the most risks out of any of the shows. They're just willing to do crazy shit, like throw John Constantine in a few episodes, bring in more magic and stuff.
I
Like
love
that
that guy because he
same.
plays every iteration of John
Right now,
Constantine.
yeah.
And that's him.
And I really like him. Like I kind of was upset that they stopped his show because I liked it.
Yeah.
It had a little bit of too much of a supernatural feel, but I really like supernatural, so I didn't have a big problem with that. But I could see why.
Well, I like that he's the voice of the animated people too.
Yes.
Like he's always like he just is that
Yeah,
character.
I mean to watch his animated series as well because I think he has a season of Constantine. Like Constantine got
I
a
think
season
so.
2, and I think. It
Well,
was
I know
all
he's
animated.
in Justice League Dark,
Yeah.
the animated
That one was
movie.
really
He
good,
plays
yeah.
him in that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. So, but that's all I watched this week. But I did want to mention that there's a few Netflix shows coming out this month that I'm definitely going to be watching, which is Lost in Space. Looks pretty good. I don't know about
Yep.
you guys. I'm going to be definitely checking out that in April. And then the second season of Ash versus the Evil Dead is going to be added to Netflix as well. So I don't know if you guys have checked that out yet, but I advise checking out the
I
first
haven't.
season.
Is that like fully associated with
Yes.
the Evil Dead
Yeah, it's a
1 and 2?
continuation.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Bruce Campbell starring. It's a It's just like 20, 30 years into the future. I haven't seen
Okay.
the movies, so I don't know how.
Okay. I've only seen the movies.
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
But they reference it a lot
show.
in the show, so
Okay.
I really enjoy the show.
Is his car there? Like the car
Yes.
in the woods?
Yes.
It's there. Okay.
'Cause I believe that I actually read a fact about that. That's Sam Raimi's car.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has it in all his any movie that Sam
Yeah.
Raimi's does. He puts that car in. That was actually an
Yeah.
Easter egg I read about while I was doing our research for today's episode. But I just wanted to mention those two because I thought, yeah, April Netflix, a couple good things.
I'm tempted to watch the Santa Clarita Diet because
I tried
I
it.
love
It
me
was
some.
terrible.
Is it? I don't like Drew
Hated it.
Barrymore, but I do like
The dude,
fuck
He
fuck
can
was
be
it
funny.
Timothy Osmondson?
I don't know.
No, that's not it.
Timothy
I just-
Osmond
No, no,
is
that's,
Lassie.
Somebody completely
It's-
different. I know that.
Yeah, no, that's Lassie.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, no.
I can picture his name.
I can't remember his name.
I talked about him a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah. But no, that show did look interesting, and the fact that a second season was added made me kind of
Yeah.
curious about it as well. But I don't know if I'll.
But I could
How's it
do
fun?
without the Drew Barrymore. Yes, bite.
yeah,
I
could
tried
see
it
that.
for a little bit, and I couldn't.
Couldn't do it, eh? Couldn't
It's
swallow it.
It's Timothy Oliphant.
That's another pun.
But no.
Timothy Oliphant. That's what it was.
Yeah. I couldn't. I could not swallow it.
Well, I think that
Damn.
brings us
It's
to
got
an
a really
end today.
sterile feel. I think.
You're
We
welcome
have
for giving you guys a short episode
Shorter
this week.
episode for once, yes.
shorter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
I hope you enjoy our Easter eggs.
Yes, and the fact that this is a double entendre.
100% vegan, dairy-free Easter eggs.
Speak for yourself.
Thanks for listening this week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.